Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing well. It's time for episode 8 of GG3 Webtoons edition, where this month or past month I read, I'll say, a handful of Webtoons, and we're gonna go through the same process. I'm gonna read a summary, I'm gonna have some pros and cons, and then at the end I'll pick my grand three. So this episode should actually go pretty quickly because well, because I didn't read as many, I guess, webtoons this month or the past month. I feel like I've been kind of busy, and judging where to stop in webtoons that are maybe still ongoing or even finished but they're still long, I was trying to pick like a similar stop point, but it wouldn't be easy just to say, oh, I'll read 10 of each, because then it might stop in the middle of something. So I tried to wrap up, I guess, the current conflict that was in the story. So I ended up reading about between 12 and 20 issues or chapters of each webtoon. So I'm going to start by listing which ones I read this month. I read Adventures of God, Blood Inc., De Novo, Humans by Individual, I believe that's how it's said. Lone, Lore Olympus, Omniscient Reader, Solo Leveling, The Gamer, and Wrath and the Dawn. Alright, to start off, it's going to be Adventure of God, and here's a quick summary of it. In this slice of eternal life, you'll meet God, visit heaven, and learn that what goes on behind the pearly gates isn't exactly the way the good book describes it. For starters, it's a pretty unhealthy work environment. What with God's ginormous fragile ego and heavy drinking problem, the good news is that while heaven is a lot less holy than expected, it's much more hilarious. Pros about this webtoon is, as it said, it's a comedy, like a slice of life. Some of the issues be really short, just honestly depending on what the joke was, I guess. They were funny. I guess a con I had for it is it's more just little comedy shorts. So there's not like an overarching story. That's a con for me, which doesn't necessarily that's a con for me in this segment, because I don't know, I kind of was hoping for like stories to be spanning over whatever issues I read. But if I was reading this just normally, like another episode came out, it'd be something I look forward to. It's just a nice little comic short, and it's funny, so it's still good. But I guess, and as I said, for GG3, I guess it's a con. Okay, so next we're going to be doing Blood Inc. So here's a summary of that. In the Republic of Terragua, being an assassin is not only legal, but quite profitable if you play your cards right. It's as simple as accepting a blood ink, taking out the target, and getting paid. As long as you follow the rules and pay your taxes on time, there shouldn't be any problem at all. At least, that's what Maya thought until she met Rama, an unlicensed assassin with a thirst for vengeance. A pro for Blood Inc. is, from what I've read, the story seems like it has potential. Cons? There wasn't very many cons from what I read, but it was an okay story. So I just feel like if I read more, then it probably would be better. But as that, from what I read, it's okay. Next up, I'm going to read a summary for De Novo. I hope I'm saying it right. Victoria lived a life so bland it could barely have been called a life at all. So when it came time for judgment after her sudden death, she refused to accept the end and found a way to do it all again. De novo, now Victoria, is reborn into a fantasy world with dragons, fairies, and endless possibilities. Excuse me. But as a woman feared and hated by society. A witch. However, this won't shake her. This new world is full of opportunities, and nothing or no one can stop her from taking it all. Pros I had for this, I really like Victoria's character design. I guess it reminds me of Storm in the sense like it's a dark skin or a black lady with white hair, and I believe she has like blue eyes, dark blue or blue eyes, pretty sure. Yeah, the beginning was kind of confusing to me. Just like literally the first, I think it was first chapter or the prologue might have been I read. But yes, I really like her character design. Story is very interesting. It kind of reminded me of something else, and I can't really put my finger on it. I guess it kind of reminds me of Bayonetta. Well, I think that only came to mind because she's also a witch, and yeah, I really like the characters, and I really like the story. Cons? I don't think I have any. I literally read up to what they have put up on the Webtoon app. So, I guess the only con was there wasn't any more. So now I'm going to do the Humans by Individual, or I think that's how it's pronounced. But yes, but I wasn't really able to find a summary of Humans in particular, but on I guess what I found on the Webtoon website, this is more of a summary of the artist as a total. So I'll read this and I'll kind of summarize it in my own words. But he just says, honestly, I just like making stories, whether it's centered around the Bible or relationships. I just like creating beautiful, truthful things. So Humans is a story about people, just different people in relationships, but each person, I guess kind of like a personality, is represented by a color. So like one person who I've seen is purple, a guy, and it talks about like, oh, purple, I think he used to date pink. I'm assuming that's her name too. But yeah, it goes like that, and then people say like, oh, well, I guess they associate colors with a personality type. So it'll be like a girl or a person like, oh, purple might say, oh, I want a yellow girl. So a girl that's literally yellow with that yellow personality type. From what I've read, it's going through who is it? I think it's purple, and I think the girl is yellow. It seems like it's following those two. Purple's a guy, yellow's a girl. Pros, it's in some ways, I feel like I can relate to purple, and it's if you've not seen the story in movies stuff, you've heard these things happening to people, and it's like, oh, you shouldn't go to that person, they won't be good for you. But the way he does it, it's refreshing, I think, or I find it at least. Cons, I can't really think of any, to be honest. Next up is Lone. Born without magic in a world full of witches, Lone is determined to claw her way to the top of wizarding school if it kills her. And it just, well, might. After a deal with the devil, improves her magical aptitude and leaves her with a parasitic demon lord stuck to her forehead. Lone's dream is finally within reach. Now she just has to survive long enough to graduate high school and help Lord Beelixroth retake his rightful throne as King of Hell so that he'll finally get out of her hair. Literally. Pros, there's a twist. I like the characters. I like character designs. Story seems like it'll be interesting from the point I stopped onward. I think that's what I said before. So cons, I would just say it seems like it's kind of been done. In fact, I feel like that's how a lot of like those like wizards or magic shows go. It's like they go to a school with other witches, wizards, or whatever to learn spells and such. I never thought of that till now. So I guess it's not just like Harry Potter. So yeah, it's not a completely new idea, but it's still, it's done well. Now, next up is Lore Olympus. Witness what the gods do after dark. The friendships and the lies, the gossip and the wild parties, and of course, forbidden love. Because it turns out, the gods aren't so different from us after all, especially when it comes to their problems. Stylish and immersive, this is one of mythology's greatest stories. The taking of, I could never say this name right, Persephone, I hope, as it's never been told before. So if this is really based on true Greek mythology, I don't know anything about, I guess, the taking of Persephone. Pros for it. The art style it's beautiful. It's almost like it's like how I was talking about humans. It's similar, not similar in story, but like in kind of like almost art style. How each character kind of, they have like their own color, but let's say like it's humans cranked up to 10, and I never really would have thought, only based off of, because the only instance I really know, not only but one that I can really think of Hades is Hercules, and he's a villain, so you wouldn't really think he'd be a good guy, or you'd want like him to be happy, but from the story I've read so far, he surprises me. And I don't know, it's really funny seeing how Persephone navigates through different situations and interacts with all the other Greek gods, and it's like just like little things. If I remember correctly, Hades' brothers, I don't remember who they, I had them in my head and I can't remember them, but his interaction with his brothers is funny, and seeing everyone's different personalities, which I'm sure is based off of Greek mythology, which I'm not too familiar with myself, but it's really enjoyable. Cons, if I was Anika, or even the only other person I know that reads it is Shanae, they would say that I guess it doesn't come out fast enough, because, well, they're caught up, and I don't know how often they come out, but I know, okay, I think what Anika tries to do is she waits a bit so she can read a bunch at once, and Shanae just reads it, no, sorry, I think I have it backwards. I think Anika reads it when it comes out, and I think our friend Shanae waits a bit to read them all, or read a bunch later. I don't know. The con, I guess, would be, for them, is not enough. for me. I don't have a con because I can't say there's not enough. I just haven't got a chance to read it yet, so I don't know. No con. I feel like I barely have cons for anything. Next up is Omniscient Reader. Omniscient. That's a weird word. Back then, Dokja. Hope I'm saying it right. These are Korean names, so I don't know if I'm saying it right. Dokja. Had no idea. He had no idea his favorite web novel, 3 Ways to Survive the Apocalypse, was going to come to life, and that he would become the only person to know how the world was going to end. He also had no idea he would end up becoming the protagonist of this novel turned reality. Now Dokja will go on to a journey to change the course of the story and save humankind once and for all. Pros I have with this: I have it pulled up right here too. The art's nice. It's not. I don't say it's not kid friendly. It's probably, I guess it'd be rated 18 plus. Because there were some scenes in this chapter that might be disturbing to some readers / viewers. I'll say for cons, there was 2 other stories I read which felt very similar in the basic idea of, say like I'm in the game. I can like say menu and like something will come floating up in front of me. And it's like I can see my inventory, abilities, passive skills, all the like gaming options. So unfortunately 3 of the ones I read follow that same kind of basic principle. Cons, again, just not a new idea, at least in the basics, but meh. Next up, Solo Leveling. I know this summary's a bit longer than the others, but bear with me. 10 years ago, after the gate that connected the real world with the monster world opened, some of the ordinary everyday people received the power to hunt monsters within the gate. They are known as hunters. However, not all hunters are powerful. My name is Sungjin Woo, an E-rank hunter. I'm someone who had to risk their life in the lowest of dungeons, the world's weakest. Having no skills whatsoever to display, I barely earned the required money by fighting in low-level dungeons. Excuse me. At least until I found a hidden dungeon with the hardest difficulty within the D-rank dungeons. In the end, as I was accepting death, I suddenly received a strange power, a quest log that only I could see, a secret to leveling up that only I know about. If I trained in accordance with my quest and hunted monsters, my level would rise, changing the weakest hunter to the strongest S-rank hunter. Pros. This was the second comic, out of the 3 I was talking about that are similar, this was the second one I read, and I kind of thought it was, I don't really know what to expect with this one, because I didn't realize it was going to be, well, what they say, I guess we'll call it quest log. I didn't realize it would be a quest log thing. So, so when I started reading it, I was like, okay, this seems interesting, and then it got real dark when it was talking about that the D rank dungeon before he got his quest log power. That whole thing was crazy. Cons, I guess it's similar to Omniscient Reader. It's just It combines two things that aren't, well, not everything always has to be super new, but it's just, it combines two things, like the let's say we'll call it, in this one we'll call it quest log. So it combines that quest log thing with someone, as he was called, the weakest hunter, world's weakest, he was called, his nickname. And from the summary, it says he's going to become the strongest S rank hunter. So like, I'm assuming that's the end goal of this whole thing. But yeah, I guess those are the cons. Just seen it before. Next up is the gamer, or I think it's also called the origin. This summary is kind of weird. I had to try and pick a spot in it because it was super long. There is nothing in Jihan's life he actually loved doing other than playing game titles, as well as in accordance to that particular passion. He was also allowed the natural ability called the gamer. Due to his fixation with video games, Jihan can generally connect most things he learns regarding the Gaia theory, as well as the abyss, back to video games, making it easier for him. Though he is not an entire coward, Jihan used to select running away as his first choice to make sure his survival, and has revealed a reluctance to participate himself in battle. After leveling up and becoming accustomed to enemies that are participating, Jihan is only going to run away in the event the problem is out of his league, and is now a lot more confident in his powers. So that's the part I took, but this is the third one. As I was saying, that were very similar. So as you can tell from the title, the gamer, this guy develops this ability similar, like he can call up an inventory screen, these attributes, he can put skills to like strength, intelligence, different stats. So pros, this was the first one out of 3 that I read with this concept. So when I read it, I was like, this is cool. The art was very simple. I don't know how old this is. I do remember my friend from work before telling me to read The Gamer. Must have been years ago. So it's pretty, not pretty old, but it's older than Omniscient Reader and Solo Leveling. Main character is funny. Cons, I guess, from what I can think. I guess from what I read, a lot of the leveling up he would do was kinda, it was like a, between being a solo run, kinda, it was more like he was kinda in situations where he wasn't really in danger, I don't think. It was like easy leveling, I guess. Easy grinding, as a gamer would say. As he would say. Next up, I have Wrath and the Dawn. Khalid the Caliph takes a bride each night only to have her executed at sunrise. So it is a suspicious surprise when Shahrazad, I hope I'm saying it right, volunteers to marry Khalid. However, Shahrazad, it must not be, anyway, sorry, has a clever plan. Not only to stay alive, but to end the murderous king's reign of terror once and for all. A reimaging of 1001 Nights based on the young adult novel by Renee Hadi. I'm sorry. Bros. It's different for me. It's a different culture compared to here. So it's interesting to see how they go about their day and how things are. I really like her character. When Shahrazad was going to possibly kill Khalid, and I was thinking, you really just gonna do it right now, right in broad daylight, everyone around? But she didn't. But I guess it was more in the sense saying that she could, but she's like, no, I ain't gonna do it now. I don't have any cons for it either. As I said before, no cons for anyone. So yeah, that's the end of my summary of books. So not to delay it any longer, I'm going to pick my grand three now. So my grand three include Lore Olympus, De Novo, and finally Solo Leveling. So yeah, I feel like all the reasons are as mentioned before. I'll explain for the aspect of picking Solo Leveling, because as I said, three of them are very similar. The Gamer, as I said, is probably the first iteration of this type of story, so it set the base, I guess. But then Solo Leveling, that honestly, that first dungeon was crazy, and that it was like a roller coaster of like emotions and what was happening. Omniscient Reader, I feel like it'll get better. It's just to the point I read each of them, I enjoy Solo Leveling more. That's the episode. For next month, or for this month, so for my November reading, I'm going back to reading single issues for comics. Yeah, going back to single issues. I don't got any news or something. If you have a request for any issues for me to read, I do. I still also been going to the comic book stores and buying comics, so I haven't really had any time to read any. So I have a bunch that I want to read to the side. But if you guys have any that you request, send me a message send me a direct message to my Instagram, or even to Anika's, and I will include that in my reading for this month. And let's see, the date for the next episode is going to be December 7th. So mark that on your calendars. Yeah, we out. Thanks for hanging around, and I hope I see you. I guess I hope I see you next episode. Peace.